Welcome back to the Sharing English podcast, where we explore stories from the English-speaking world, spoken slowly and clearly for curious English learners like you. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's your host, Freya. I hope everyone had a lovely holiday if you celebrated. I, for one, am happy to be back with you all sharing English. In today's episode, we're talking about something many English learners are curious about: American accents. When people think of American English, they often imagine one standard accent, the kind they hear in movies, on the news, or in language learning apps. But in reality, the United States has a wide variety of accents shaped by history, geography, immigration, and culture. So in today's episode, we're going to explore where American accents come from, why they're so different from one another, and what they can tell us about American history. Now, I won't be trying to imitate different accents. That would be embarrassing. Instead, I'll explain what makes them distinct, where they developed, and where you might hear them today. I'll also share examples from films and television, so you can listen for these accents on your own. One of the most important things to understand right away is this: there is no one American accent. There's no one right American accent. The United States is a large country, shaped by centuries of immigration, settlement, and movement. The English language arrived in North America in the 1600s, but it did not arrive in just one form. Different groups of English speakers brought different regional accents with them, and those accents continued to change over time. Instead of blending into one sound, American English developed into many regional varieties, each with its own rhythm, pronunciation, and vocabulary. Let's dive a little deeper. American accents began forming during the colonial period of the 1600s and 1700s. Early English settlers came from different parts of England, Scotland, Ireland, and later from many other parts of Europe. These settlers often lived far apart from each other, sometimes separated by mountains, rivers, forests, or long travel distances. Because of this isolation, communities developed their own speech patterns. Many American accents still reflect their British origins. In fact, some features of American English are actually older forms of English that disappeared in Britain but survived in the US. For example, the American pronunciation of the R sound in words like car or hard was once common in England. British English gradually dropped that sound, while many American accents kept it. This is why linguists often describe most American accents as rhotic, meaning the R is clearly pronounced. My own accent is a good example of this. When I speak, I clearly say each R in my words. As America has aged and evolved, so has its English, especially by coming into contact with indigenous languages, African languages brought through slavery, and other immigrant languages like French, German, Italian, Yiddish, and Spanish. All of these influences have shaped how English sounds in different regions. Geography plays a huge role in American accents. In areas where people were isolated, such as mountain regions, rural farming regions, or distant coastal towns, accents changed more slowly and often preserved older speech patterns. In contrast, large cities and port towns changed more quickly. These places had constant contact with new immigrants, travelers, and ideas, leading to accents that evolved faster. This difference between isolation and contact helps explain why some American accents sound very old, while others feel modern or mixed. One of the most fascinating examples of geographic isolation is the Appalachian accent. In parts of the Appalachian Mountains, which stretch through states like Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, and western North Carolina, communities, especially in the southern part of the mountain range, remained relatively isolated for generations. Because of this, some speech patterns there preserved features of older British and Scottish English. Linguists have noticed similarities between Appalachian English and certain Scottish or Northern English accents, including vowel sounds, grammar patterns, and vocabulary. This does not mean Appalachian English is more correct or older English, but it does show how accents can preserve history. In many ways, Appalachian speech is a living record of how English sounded centuries ago. You can hear good examples of these accents in movies like October Sky or Coal Miner's Daughter, which have both been praised for giving accurate portrayals of the Appalachian accent. Over time, several major accent regions developed across the United States. In the Northeast, accents like the Boston and New York accents formed early. These accents were shaped by early British settlement and later immigration. The Boston accent is famous for dropping the R sound. Car becomes ka, and park becomes pak. You can hear this accent clearly in movies like The Town or Good Will Hunting, both set in Boston. While fewer young people speak with strong traditional New England accents today, it remains one of the most recognizable accents in American culture. Southern American accents developed from a mix of English, Scottish, Irish, French, and African influences. Enslaved Africans brought their own languages and speech rhythms, which strongly shaped Southern English. Accents from the South are known for slower speech, vowel changes, and distinctive intonation patterns. However, there isn't just one Southern accent. Speech in Texas, Georgia, Louisiana, and the Carolinas can sound quite different. Southern accents are often used in films and television to convey warmth, tradition, or rural life, but they're also frequently stereotyped. Understanding the history behind them helps move beyond those cliches. The Midwest played a major role in shaping what many people think of as a neutral American accent. As the region developed with settlers from different backgrounds, accents blended together. This is where general American English comes from, the accent commonly used by news anchors, broadcasters, and voice actors from around the country. It's not tied to one specific state. It's most often associated with places like Ohio, Indiana, and parts of northern Illinois. Because it's widely understood and lacks strong regional markers, it became the dominant accent in national media. This is also where my accent comes from, since Michigan is a part of the upper Midwest. But I will say, even though the Midwestern accent is generally considered to be neutral American English, we do still have some differences, especially in the upper Midwest, like Minnesota or northern regions of Wisconsin and Michigan, where Canadian influences on vowels, especially along O, are more common. A very exaggerated version of this upper Midwest accent can be heard in the movie and TV series Fargo. And then on the West Coast, accents are generally newer and more influenced by migration from all over the country. California accents, for example, reflect this mix and often include vocabulary shaped by youth culture and media. Another essential part of the story of American accents is African American English, often called African American Vernacular English, or AAVE. AAVE developed during the period of slavery, when enslaved Africans who spoke many different languages were forced to learn English under brutal conditions. Their speech was shaped by English dialect spoken by enslavers, African grammar patterns, and the need to communicate across language barriers. Over time, this evolved into a distinct and rule-based variety of English. It's important to understand that AAVE is not slang, it's not broken English, and it's not incorrect grammar. Linguists recognize it as a legitimate dialect with its own consistent rules for pronunciation, grammar, and meaning. For example, verb tense, aspect, and emphasis often work differently than in standard American English, but they are systematic and meaningful. AAVE has also had a massive influence on mainstream American English, especially through music, film, and popular culture. Many expressions commonly used across the U.S. today originated in African American communities. At the same time, speakers of AAVE have often faced discrimination, especially in schools and workplaces, which makes understanding its history and legitimacy especially important. Accents are not just about language, they're also about identity. In the United States, accents are sometimes unfairly linked to intelligence, education, or social class. Certain accents may be stereotyped in movies or television, often for humor or drama. However, linguists are clear. No accent is better, smarter, or more correct than another. Every accent follows rules, and every accent tells a story about history and community. Understanding this helps English learners feel more confident about their own accents, too. Movies and television have played a major role in shaping how people perceive American accents. Boston accents often appear in crime dramas. Southern accents appear in historical films or family stories. New York accents are common in comedies and urban dramas. While these portrayals can be entertaining, they often exaggerate accents and reinforce stereotypes. Watching these films can be helpful for listening practice, but it's important to remember they're not always realistic. Do accents change over time? Yes, accents are always changing. Technology, mobility, and social media have made Americans more connected than ever before. As people move frequently and communicate online, some regional accents are becoming less strong, while new speech patterns are emerging. At the same time, people often hold on to accents as a way of expressing pride in where they come from. Accents are not disappearing, they're evolving. And we can clearly see that American accents are still changing today, largely because the United States continues to be shaped by immigration. In recent decades, immigration from Latin America, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East has influenced how English sounds in different regions. In cities like Los Angeles, Miami, Houston, and New York, English is often spoken alongside Spanish, Mandarin, Arabic, and many other languages. This constant contact shapes pronunciation, rhythm, and vocabulary. Younger generations, especially those who grow up in bilingual or multilingual households, often develop accents that reflect both English and another language. Over time, these speech patterns spread beyond immigrant communities and become part of regional American English. This means American English is not finished evolving. Just as earlier waves of immigrants shaped accents centuries ago, today's speakers are creating the next chapter in the story of American accents. For English learners, understanding American accents can reduce frustration and build confidence. If you struggle to understand different accents, it does not mean your English is weak. It means you are listening to a language shaped by centuries of history and diversity. Exposure, patience, and curiosity are far more important than trying to sound perfect. American accents tell the story of migration, geography, culture, and change. From isolated mountain communities to busy coastal cities, every accent carries history with it. So next time you hear an American accent that surprises you, remember, it's not wrong or strange. It's part of a much larger story. Now I'm curious, which American accent do you find most interesting or most challenging to understand, and why? Let me know. Thanks for listening to the Sharing English podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a rating or review, and share the podcast with a friend who's also learning English. You can find out more about me and the podcast at our website, www.sharing-english.com. New episodes of the Sharing English podcast are available weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, let me know, what topics are you interested in hearing more about? Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep sharing English.